Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And again, we're talking about some idioms for the well-traveled English learner. Last time we talked about some idioms that had the names of places in them, different countries. Go Dutch and French
When in
leave.
Rome.
When in Rome, do as the Romans do. All roads lead to Rome and stuff like that.
And Tom, I should warn people, we didn't mention this, but oftentimes foreigners will just say, well, when in Rome. And they won't finish it. But we all know the ending, so they don't have to. So you really should just learn when in Rome.
Yeah, every time I ride my scooter down the sidewalk, somebody says, hey, you can't do that. And I say, hey, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, because everybody else is doing the same thing. But in any case here, we're going to talk about some idioms that have some unique origins here. One comes from the Native Americans in North America. We've also got something from New York. You lived in New York for a while, so you probably know exactly what this means. There are probably some other phrases that are from New York as well. And then we're going to talk about something called a white elephant, which would probably be from South Asia because they've got elephants there. And so we're going to talk about these phrases today and how you can use them in your everyday conversation. So let's get to it. Let's read through the entire contents of today's lesson now, one time.
Bury the hatchet. You may have heard this in a line of Billie Eilish's popular song, Bury a Friend, but its origins go much further back. As weapons of war for some Native Americans, hatchets were ceremonially buried in centuries past to declare peace between tribes. Today, burying the hatchet carries the same meaning of making peace and putting old conflicts behind you. New York Minute. Though this phrase mentions New York City, it didn't originate there. First recorded in Texas, U.S., in the 1960s, it expresses how other Americans see the lifestyle of New Yorkers as fast-paced and hectic. Television talk show host Johnny Carson once joked that a New York minute was the amount of time between a traffic light turning green and the driver behind you honking their horn, which in New York might be a very short amount of time indeed. White elephant. A white elephant is an item that costs a great deal to maintain, but isn't useful enough to match its expense. The term comes from the old kingdoms in Thailand, Laos, and Myanmar, where white elephants were considered sacred, and a king who owned one was said to rule with justice and power. A gift of a white elephant from a king was both a blessing and a curse, as it showed the king's favor but left the recipient with an expensive-to-keep animal that couldn't be sold or put to good use. Many other idioms in English have their origins in different places and customs. After you learn some more, you can travel around the world in just a few words.
Okay, everybody, let's talk about some more idioms that you might use when you're traveling. The first one is called bury the hatchet. And I do know what this means, and it is quite useful sometimes. We can read the actual text here to tell you what it means here. So first of all, let's introduce this by talking about a modern singer who's got a song called Bury a Friend. And we're not burying a hatchet there, but if you bury a friend, of course, maybe a friend of yours has died. But you may have heard this in a line of Billie Eilish's popular song, Bury a Friend, but its origins go much further back, actually. So in any case here, we're talking about this phrase, bury the hatchet. I guess this phrase is used in a Billie Eilish song. Perhaps I'm too old for this. I have not heard of this singer before, but I guess she's got a popular song called Bury a Friend. And if you listen carefully to that song, you will hear her say, bury the hatchet. So that's the phrase here. Its origins go much further back. Further, okay, that refers to a distance or a concept that goes farther away from where you are. So indeed, the origins go further back in time. So, as weapons of war for some Native Americans, sometimes called the Indians, hatchets were ceremonially buried in centuries past to declare peace between tribes. And, of course, if you talk about native tribes or native peoples in the world, they're oftentimes referred to as tribes, sometimes nations or peoples. Of course, here in Taiwan, you've got various Aboriginal tribes, the Ame, the Taya, those are all considered tribes. Again, groups of people usually that are minorities or Aborigines, I guess, or native peoples. So, yeah, in the Native Americans, we'd have the Crow, the Sioux, the Pawnee, the Cherokee. Those are all different tribes.
The Navajo, which I'm familiar with because they live in Arizona. So that is something they used to use this hatchet for, is just as a weapon of war to kill people. They look very scary. We still have hatchets today. Firemen use them to just hit and break down like wooden doors and walls and stuff like that. But
it's kind of like an axe, right?
Yeah. It's very scary looking. And you'll see them in horror films oftentimes because we consider they're pretty scary looking. So today, though, burying the hatchet, what does it mean? It carries the same meaning of making peace and putting old conflicts behind you. Here's an example. You had a bad fight with your good friend and you're not talking to each other. You miss each other, but you're still kind of angry. But then your friend comes to you and says, hey, let's just bury the hatchet, which means let's forgive each other, let's move on, and just forget that awful fight we had. So this is a great phrase to use if you ever get in that situation, and we all have been in that situation, I'm sure, either with a good friend or a family member. Sometimes it's really best just to bury the hatchet, put that stuff behind you.
Let bygones be bygones and agree to disagree and move on with your lives.
Sure.
So again, that's what it means. To bury the hatchet means you make peace. You decide not to fight anymore and get on with your lives. Sometimes in rock groups, for example, they have arguments and they break up and they decide, hey, let's get together, but let's bury the hatchet. Let's make peace here. We've had problems in the past. Those problems are still there, but let's just ignore them. Let's get together and make the music. So they make peace. They bury the hatchet. You get the idea.
And they go on tour and make a lot of money together again. That's usually part of burying the hatchet for some of these old bands. A New York Minute. New York Minute is a pretty familiar phrase to all of us that live in the States, at least. And I'd always thought that it had come from New York City. But actually, it does. It's a reference to New York City itself, but it wasn't originated there. It came from another state, a state that's slower in pace. Texas, where you'll find a lot of ranchers, cowboys. Of course, they have a lot of businesses there now. Things have changed, of course, because of technology, but Texas still has a lot of areas where people just move at a slower pace. I would say that people in the southern part of the United States all kind of move a little more slowly. I remember when I worked in New York, I would fly home for Christmas and, other holidays, and I'd have to say to myself, okay, slow down, just be more patient, because I felt like everybody was just moving too slowly, And as soon as you fly into New York City, you've got the flight attendants yelling at the people on the plane to sit down because they haven't finished landing. They're trying to get their luggage before they get to the gate. People are impatient in New York City. Everything's fast. So that's kind of interesting that a very slow-paced style of a state, and this is Texas, back in the 1960s, was kind of making fun of New Yorkers. It's going to happen fast in a New York Minute because in a New York Minute, that minute is much faster in New York City than it would be in, say, California or Texas or any of the more slower moving states.
Texas is a big state there, and of course it's got Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, big cities, of course, but most of Texas is quite rural and conservative, so they move at a slower pace there. So you could say it's slow-paced, whereas New York is fast-paced. Yeah, if that light changes, you better get moving. So yeah, television talk show host Johnny Carson. Here's Johnny. He once joked that a New York minute was the amount of time between a traffic light turning green and the driver behind you honking. That happens here in Taiwan sometimes too.
Really?
Yeah, that's happened to me, although I must admit it doesn't happen nearly as often as it would in New York City. So in any case, yes, they might honk their horn when the light turns green. Sometimes that's necessary because people, the scooters, sometimes pull out their smartphones. They're not supposed to, but they haven't noticed that the light has turned green and somebody needs to honk at them from behind to remind them, hey, we're waiting, the light's green, we don't have all day, get moving, put your phone away, etc., etc.
I should probably talk about who Johnny Carson was. He's already passed away. He was a very famous television talk show host until I think it was the late 80s. I was looking him up the other day, looking at his life story. He was such a great host and very funny. And as you know, a lot of these late night talk shows, they always have the host go out and kind of talk to the audience and tell jokes for a while. It's kind of fun. Well, that's what he would do. This joke is really funny, I think, to me. There's a lot of honking in New York City, so prepare yourself. You probably think traffic is bad here. Yeah, the scooters make it a little crazy, I think, but as far as cars go, oh no, it's worse in New York City. And you are constantly hearing people honk, honk, honk that horn, which is really irritating. They should actually outlaw that. Sometimes I think people are a little too quick to use that horn. So it just means to get something done very, very fast, as if you lived in New York and were acting like a New Yorker. Right now, guys, we're going to take a quick break, listen to our Chinese teacher, who will not talk that fast. Hopefully, she'll slow down her pace a bit, although she is speaking Chinese, so you guys should be fine. But once she's done, we'll be back in a quick New York minute to continue on talking about one of our other idioms, which is white elephant.
Hi everyone, my name is Jenny. 今天我们继续来学英文的惯用语。我们今天要介绍另外3个惯用语。第一个是 bury the hatchet。hatchet 可是一种武器哦，尤其是在美国原住民战争时代，他们用 hatchet 作为战争的武器。我们先看这边的介绍，他说 You may have heard this in a line of Billie Eilish's popular song. May have heard. May 是一个助动词，那它后面呢，如果你用完成式的 have再加 pp， 这个意思就是说，在时间上你讲的是之前，整个意思就是说，你可能之前就已经听说过了。这就是你用 may 加 have 加 pp， 在口气上、时间上，它传达的意思要特别注意。美国原住民时代，为了表示部落之间和好，不再打仗了，他们呢就用一种仪式，也就是把这个 hatchet 埋起来。所以今天我们用这个片语来表示说，我们跟人家讲和了，不吵架了，然后把过往的一切都抛诸脑后，相当于我们说的 make peace。接下来看下一个片语，下一个片语呢 New York minute。我们知道 minute 当然是代表1分钟，可是为什么说它是纽约的1分钟？这个时间的观念怎么来的？其实这个片语的意思就是时间非常的短。说起来就要谈到纽约咯，一定是从纽约开始的吗？其实不见得。我们最早记录这句话，它是在1960年代。Texas 也就是德州人他们认为在纽约这种大都市，就像我们在台湾的中南部，然后你想台北的生活一样，一定是步调非常的快，非常的繁忙 fast-paced and hectic。 谈到这2个字，一个就是步调快速，一个就是繁忙。那你想在德州的人过的生活步调是比较慢，所以他们就说那种快步调的生活，放慢的生活，说它是一种纽约人的生活方式。当时有一个 talk show 主持人叫 Johnny Carson， 他就开玩笑的说，这就是纽约的1分钟。他意思说等红绿灯，然后现在呢变绿灯，你还没车子开动，你后面的驾驶可能就已经扒你了， honking their horn 就在后面按喇叭了。这样的1分钟真的非常的短，这也就是这个片语的来源。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, everybody, let's resume. So far, we've talked about burying the hatchet and a New York minute. Of course, again, these are idioms if you're traveling around the world, and of course, their origins have different places here. Let's talk about white elephant here, first of all. White elephant, okay? Well, of course, we know elephants usually aren't white. I guess they're kind of gray, and there's two general kinds of elephants. There are African elephants and Asian elephants. And now we've got a white elephant. So what the heck is a white elephant? Well, a white elephant is an item that costs a great deal to maintain, but isn't useful enough to match its expense. So yes, I guess literally there are white elephants, elephants that are white in color. Maybe they're...
Have you seen one?
The pictures of them don't look totally white, but maybe there is such a thing as an albino white elephant. Albino means somebody's white because they're lacking the pigment in their skin. It's kind of a genetic mutation, albino. But in this particular case, white elephant can refer to the elephant, but colloquially, it refers to something that costs a lot to maintain, and so therefore it is kind of useless, and the amount you spend on maintaining it is more than you actually get from the item itself. So if you talk about expense here, that just means how much you paid for something. Again, it costs more to maintain it than to get benefits from it.
So this is one of our vocab words, guys, expense. So expense just means the cost required for something, the money that you need, either for a service or maybe you're buying some sort of product. You'll often hear the adjective form, which is expensive. Ooh, it's expensive. And if you work for a company and you're reimbursed or paid back for your expenses on a business trip, the states at least will often just use kind of a slang phrase, can I expense that? Which means, can I write it off? Will the company actually pay me back for that if I fill out the right paperwork? Your expense report, that's what that's referred to. That's what you spent while you were on a trip for your company or doing company business. Maybe you were still in Taiwan or even in the city where you live, but you had to maybe buy some printer ink for some reason, whatever. But the company should pay you back, and you put that on an expense report. Now, this white elephant term comes from the old kingdoms in Thailand, Laos, and Myanmar, where white elephants were considered sacred or holy. If something's sacred, it usually refers to something that people connect with God or their religion in some way, or that it's used for a religious purpose. So they were considered sacred. Yeah, they treated their elephants very, very well. I happen to love elephants. I think they're beautiful animals and so smart. Well, back in history, there was a king who owned one. And whoever owned that white elephant, which are kind of rare because they're not quite white. Don't expect to see, really white elephants. But if you look up the pictures, you can see they're quite light. And a king who owned one was said to rule with justice and power. Justice refers to actions that are considered really fair to maybe both sides. It's equal or just or fair treatment for someone. We all are looking for justice if we're arrested and we're tried in a court to see if we're guilty. We hope that everybody will be fair and that justice will be done. Here, power, if they ruled with power, they were able to get a lot of things done, perhaps. People would always obey them when they gave, their commands to people. So, yeah, they were considered to be pretty cool, especially for a king who owned one and ruled with justice and power.
Okay, so that's good for the king. And of course, kings have lots of money and lots of servants and things, so they can take care of that white elephant. But a gift of a white elephant from a king was both a blessing and a curse, as it showed the king's favor, but left the recipient with an expensive-to-keep animal that couldn't be sold or put to good use. So yes, indeed, if the king gave you a white elephant as a gift, you would think, hey, that's pretty cool. I got this great gift from the king here. Aren't I cool? Everybody's going to be jealous of me. So that's a blessing. If something's a blessing, that means it's good for you. So yes, they would consider this a blessing. maybe a blessing in disguise or something. And also, it could be a curse, which means something that's bad for you. Of course, a white elephant costs a lot of money to take care of. You need a place to keep it and stuff like that. So, yes, it could be a blessing and a curse at the same time.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I was thinking about a friend, she was given a horse, but she didn't have any other horses. And it was a beautiful horse, but to feed the horse, to take care of the horse, to find an area where the horse could, live.
Run around and eat grass. And...
So finally, she had to sell the horse. She couldn't afford to keep that really great gift. It could be a white elephant gift. You want it, but boy, what are you going to do? You're going to have to spend a lot of money for the upkeep or to take care of it. So these white elephants never did any work like donkeys or horses. They wouldn't load them down and have them carry goods from one place to another. So it was just like having a beautiful white elephant that you couldn't put to good use. If you put something to good use, you find some practical things to do with that thing, put to good use. Yeah, you could maybe have some extra time this week. Instead of just taking a nap, why don't you put that time to good use? Redecorate or clean up your apartment or do some yard work, maybe mowing your lawn if you have grass in the front yard or backyard. Don't waste the time. Don't waste what you're given. Put it to good use.
Yeah, if you're a kid at home and you go, Mom, I don't have anything to do. I'm bored. And the mother might say, well, there's a broom over there. Put it to good use. Sweep up this room.
Yeah.
It's filthy. We could use a little bit of cleaning here.
Sure.
Put that broom to good use. So, again, that's the curse of having a white elephant because, gee whiz, you're going to have to spend a lot of money taking care of it. It's an expensive to keep animal, or it's an animal that requires a lot of maintenance.
Yeah.
And you can't really put an elephant to good use. What the heck can you do with a white elephant? I suppose you could offer people rides and charge them for rides, but they probably won't want to pay more than, say, $500 NT or something like that. And the amount of time you need to wash the animal and buy medicine for it, take it to the veterinarian, buy food, clean up the dung. It's probably not going to be cost effective.
The dung is his poo-poo, of course.
Of course. So you're going to probably go in debt. So yeah, don't let the king give you a white elephant as a gift. Take the cash instead.
Oh, definitely. That's great advice. So moving on to the final paragraph, many other idioms in English have their origins in different places and customs. After you learn some more, you can travel around the world in just a few words. I wanted to mention a website that I've always found very useful and very interesting as well. You can go to this website and it will give you what they think is the origin of some proverbs, some idioms, some phrases. It'll tell you where people think it first came from. And sometimes we don't know for sure, and so they'll give you different origin stories. You could say it's phrases, phrases.org, .uk. So it comes from England, but it's very interesting. And a lot of times I'll go to that website and try to find out, where did this come from originally? It's very interesting. Oftentimes we'll know what that idiom means, but even Tom and I won't know how it got started.
Yeah, we use them, but we oftentimes don't know where they came from.
Right.
Maybe I should check that out. I used to go to the phrase finder, but maybe
good.
phrases.org would be useful as well. Okay, there you have it. That's the lesson for today, but we still need to hear from our Chinese teacher, so let's do that now.
好，我们继续来看第三个片语 White Elephant。这个片语的意思呢，其实就是这个东西实在华而不实，大而无当。尤其是当别人给你一个东西，占很大的空间，可是其实你又用不到。这个片语，当然我们要看看为什么要讲 White Elephant， 大象的颜色应该不是白色的吧？那可见了它的稀少跟珍贵。不过故事的来由是要从泰国、辽国、缅甸这些古老的王国来谈起。好，我们先看句子里面 Thailand, Laos and Myanmar， 在这三个国家的后面有一个逗点，逗点接着 where， 当然我们就知道 where 是一个关系副词，一定要有逗点，因为你前面这三个 都是专有名词。那谈在这些地方啊，白象是被当作很神圣的 sacred， 而且呢，如果国王有一头白象，他就会被认为说，他是用正义、用权力来统治国家。注意到，除了 where 这个关系副词，代表的就是 in which， 也就是前面这几个地方在这里的情况之外，还有就是后面提到 a king who owned one。当然 one 在这个前后文里指的就是 a white elephant， 一个有这一种白象的国王。后面接着动词咯 was sad to。 好，我们注意到在句构里面有一种结构，也就是说主词其实可能是在讲一件事情，像这里就是这件事情就是说，这个国王他有这样子的白象是用正义权力统治的。那你可以用 it 当主词，把它整个句子写成 It was said that a king who owned one ruled with justice and power。 好，但是这个也就是据说啦。那我们如果不要用 it was said 再加 that 句，你可以把后面这个故事的主角 a king 这个摆到前面，那整个句构就变成 a king was said to blah blah blah。接下来呢，下面告诉你，收到这样的礼物啊，国王特别照顾你，把这样的礼物给你，可是对收受的人来讲，那就是刚刚提到的，又贵又不知道该怎么办。说来说去，这些谚语我们用了很多不同的国家的名称，所以当你学到这些谚语的时候，你是不是也就环游世界了呢？今天的讲解就到这边结束，谢谢收听。
That's it for today. Thank you for listening. And hey, you might be able to put these idioms to good use when you travel around the world. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
See ya.